Joining me now to discuss this further, we have Brent Budowski, a columnist with the political website The Hill, and media analyst Lionel. All right, guys, let's get started. If we can go to you first, Brent. First, let's get through the report from Twitter. Some 200 accounts suspected of links to Russia. However, it's not exactly clear how they violated Twitter rules. Only a ban on spam may have been violated. So does this constitute fail-safe proof of U.S. election meddling?
Well, I think what most Americans, certainly in Congress, in the Senate, would agree is that there was significant meddling. The investigation has now expanded to Facebook and Twitter, and I suspect very soon Reddit and other social media, and it's part of the larger investigation. What is troubling to most Americans here is that the latest example involves playing race cards in American politics from some Russian sources to try to divide Americans. There are allegations with some evidence at this point, even on the NFL controversy involving President Trump. Now, when Homeland Security says that they have concerns about election hacking, let me make sure we understand that that involves the Trump administration's Department of Homeland Security, not just the Obama administration's Homeland Security. Now, one key point I want to emphasize today, nobody wants better relations with Russia than I do, and I'll address myself to anyone in the Russian government who may hear the words I'm saying right now. When there was a subway attack in Moscow, I believe I was on 3 or 4 programs on RT. I believe Medvedev was president in those days, expressing my solidarity with the people of Russia. Forget the propaganda, forget the arguments, forget the debates. If we want to have better relations between the United States and Russia, my advice to the government of Russia, forget all the spin that's being said by anybody, is to stop these kinds of attacks in cyber war and others in the United States. Just stop them. I don't really care if they admit it publicly. Just stop it. And our people would find out almost immediately that it is stopped, and there would be an opportunity for better relations between our two countries, which I think most Americans want, which President Trump wants, which most Democrats want, and which I want. So forget the propaganda debating. Stop it, whether it's admitted or not. Stop interfering in our system, and we can have the same better relations under President Trump we could have had under President Obama, President Bush, President Clinton, President anywhere.
Okay, Lionel, I see you shaking your head there. Do you disagree with that?
Well, I would, but it's breathtakingly incoherent as to what he just said. 3 questions I have. Being a lawyer, let's think prosecutor. Number 1, who are the Russians? Russian government? Russian people? People who speak Russian? What? We don't know. A Russian entity. Number 2, let's look at some of these ads. Anti-fracking ads? Anti-fracking ads? Black Lives Matter? How is that going to help Donald Trump? Oh, I know, because it causes chaos. It causes a frisson of discussion. And number 3, if you want to look at direct governmental involvement in an election, let's look no further than President Obama in Brexit. Let's look at our statements regarding Scottish independence and our statements regarding, let's say, Israeli elections. So if you want to look at this vague issue about Russian involvement and whether these issues or ads cause chaos, it leads me to this one very single, simple answer to all of these accusations. So what? Nothing's proven. Nothing's even remotely suggesting us how this implementation takes place. And what my learned colleague, the Big Budowski, has said right now is there may be something, and if Homeland Security says it, oh, that's good enough. Details don't matter. Just mention Russia, mention RT, and we're off and running. Because the American public and the American social media and sock puppet media, bought and sold deep state media, if you just say Russia, that's it. They just read the headline and they're off to talk about kneeling gate in the NFL or something ludicrous. That's where we are. So what?
Brent, so we have Lionel saying that there's really not much significance in this information being released by Twitter. Do you agree?
Oh, no, and let me again address myself to anybody in the Russian government who may be watching the show or see a tape of this right now, what we're saying. President Putin and everyone else knows the exact truth, the whole truth about what happened. And I would respond very coherently to Lionel by saying the way to lift the sanctions, the way to improve relations is to stop it. And the Russian government knows what they did.
Stop what?
Whether anyone will admit it or not is not. Stop interfering in the American system. Stop promoting racism or racial division.
How?
Stop promoting any political candidate or party in the United States by not doing the things that were on the news right now that they are doing. When I came over, before I came to this show, I was sitting outside in a studio that had a lot of television. Please let me finish. That had a lot of television stations on, and at this very moment, all over American television, on many networks, there are stories about what happened, about the Russian invasion, cyber invasion of America, about playing blacks against whites, about trying to create tensions. And it doesn't matter what Lionel says. It doesn't even matter what I say. Unless someone in the Russian government is listening to this and considers my advice to stop this kind of activity right now, and the sanctions could be lifted. The sanctions could be lifted, and relations between Russia. Lionel can have all the fake news and defenses he wants. It doesn't matter with anyone if our purpose is to lessen the sanctions and improve relations.
Go ahead, Lionel.
Sir, one question. What is the best evidence you have? Take all the time you want. The best evidence you have of anything that you have attempted to accuse Russia of. One bit, just anything. What is it?
If RT would give me 7 hours, I could list them one by one. But what we have right now is the Senate Intelligence Committee. May I answer? You asked me a question. I'm answering it. You know, the Senate Intelligence Committee, Democrats and Republicans, the FBI, every law enforcement agency, every counterintelligence agency in America, many and most Republican senators and Republican members of Congress, Republican, and I'm a liberal Democrat, Republican, agree with every word I just said about what Russia has done. And again, for the third time, if there's anybody in the Russian government who may be listening to this, my advice to you, if you want to improve relations and have the sanctions lifted, is to stop. Yes, exactly, I am. Is to stop what has been going on, and I think the Russian government knows what's been going on, and I think they can. I don't care if they admit it publicly or not, because if they stop it, it will be obvious to America that it has been stopped, and relations will be improved.
Sir, I beg, I entreat, I importune you, I beseech you, dear God, anything, just one little bit of, for example, person X admits he broke into the election and stole votes, or somebody from the Kremlin admits, yes, we did something, or somebody arrested, somebody found. The only thing I'm hearing as far as interference is Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and Twitter actually colluding with and working with the Hillary Rodham Clinton campaign by and through Mr. Podesta. But we seem to be forgetting that. So for the last time, in the name of decency, sir, just one bit of independent evidence, not hearsay, not faith in all of these august people, and God bless them for the service they provide my beloved republic. Just one bit of evidence, sir. I beg you.
Okay, the fact is we do have a lot of accusations flying from all sides, but let's go back to the actual story that we have from today, this report coming from Twitter. What is RT's role in this story? It's showing that we bought ads on Twitter, but are we just simply guilty of promoting ourselves? Or is there something sinister there?
Well, I'm not discussing. Now, I'm not, look, right now on this show at this moment, I'm not discussing RT per se. I'm talking about the general Russian attempts to intervene in our election, Russian attempts to divide our people by racial lines. And I don't know exactly what RT's role was on this, and they're not a major player in terms of what is on the news in America at this minute. What's on the news in America at this minute is various Russian operatives, sources that are under active investigation with some evidence have been using Facebook, Twitter, and probably Reddit soon to interfere in our elections and to have racial divisions they're promoting between blacks and whites in America. That is the key point. Now, again, for the fifth time, the people in the Russian government who may be listening, and I hope they are, to what I'm saying, they know the truth, and my advice to them is to stop it, and relations can improve, and our countries can get along better, and the sanctions can be lifted. It's that simple. It's very coherent. And they know, whoever may be watching this from the Russian government, exactly what I'm saying, and I hope they'll agree at some point.
Okay, Lionel, what Brent is saying is true. The headlines are awash in the United States about Russian interference. Both Facebook and Twitter say they found proof of so-called bots allegedly linked to Russia and targeting users on both platforms. So the Russian bot army is real? Is that the case here? Lionel?
But bot being what? Why, I don't understand it. Let me start off by saying this. Have you looked at this thing called the Internet lately? Do you know what this thing is that a bot that is bought, a bot that is purchased to say what? To provide evidence of, let's just take, for example, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, a story that was promoted on CNN, provided by a host of individuals from all aspects of the racial tapestry. Black Lives Matter. So let me get this straight. Russia or any other country is going to make a divisive and decisive impact on the American election system by buying ads or promoting ads involving, let's say, Black Lives Matter, which is a subject that was covered by everyone. But somehow the Russian bot, and let's just assume, arguendo, that's true, that the Russian bot version of Black Lives Matter, that story, phrased using this particular language, is going to cause this tumultuous, this riotous chasm in the American system, and it will cause this fracture of stability. And I don't understand it. I'm trying so hard to play along. I swear to you, I'm not trying to be dumb. I don't understand. If somebody were to pay an ad for Black Lives Matter, NFL boycott, whatever it is, so what? If they were to buy an ad that is on the news already, how is the Russian bot story somehow worse, deeper, affecting people more than the other story I'm hearing 10,000 times on 10,000 other platforms? I'm sorry. Maybe I just don't understand it. There's no there. There's no here. This is a big nothing burger. It's a so what? I mean, do you understand what we're talking about? What the impact, the chilling effect this has on the First Amendment, on freedom of the press, on freedom of expression? I am disgusted by this. Let the market decide who's fake and who's not. And what is fake? Tell me the difference between fake and exaggerated or just plain wrong. Do you know how many times the New York Times has to post retractions because they got things wrong? Is that new? Is that fake? Do you understand the notion of international ownership? You want to start with the New York Times? You want to do that one? Look, we're missing the point here. This has an extremely chilling effect on my beloved First Amendment, and I don't take that kindly. And I want everybody in the world, not just the Republic, to wake up. And I'm surprised at you, sir. You who make your living being able to express your ideas. How dare you just sit back and assume that whatever the government says, by the way, the First Amendment protects us from the government. How you could sit back and say, oh, I've got no problem with that. Whatever they say is fine with me. They've never been wrong. Nobody's ever lied to me. There's nothing political going on here. You just continue with this. I am shocked and disgusted and frightened by the tenor of this issue and where it's going.
Okay, Brent, I want to bring you back in here. WikiLeaks has actually published emails from Clinton's campaign chief where one of Facebook's top officials offered to help her campaign. Should that also be investigated? Is that also something to be worried about? Should that be all over the headlines?
Well, only if there was an offer of something that was illegal. If it was an offer to make a campaign donation, there's nothing wrong with that. If it was not an offer to fix the news and to fix the election, which is what Russia is being alleged to have been doing. That's the point. And look, I'll say it for the fifth time. Those in the Russian government who may know what I am saying right now and may be listening to this today or on tape, they know what happened. And if the purpose is to have the sanctions lifted to improve relations between our two countries, ignore what Lionel says, ignore even what I say, just stop it. What's going on. And they know what I'm referring to, and better relations can come, and the sanctions can be lifted. But that's how it has to be done. It has to be two countries dealing with respect and not having the kind of stories, investigations, and scandals that we're seeing now every day. Most Republicans and Democrats in the Senate agree with me. If the purpose is to lift the sanctions, stop the activity. It's that simple.
Okay, Brent, you earlier said that you're not here to discuss RT, you're not here to discuss our channel, but the report coming from Twitter says that RT buying ads is evidence of Russian meddling. Do you not see that as a tie there? Do you see RT buying ads as something sinister?
Well, I'd have to see exactly how public the ad buying was and what was in it. And you know, I agree with RT being labeled as a foreign agent, but I'm also believe that RT should be able to broadcast. I'm here as long as I'm able to state my view as I believe it to be true. I'm here. But I think when you look at the totality of allegations and evidence about Russian attempts to divide Americans from each other, excuse me?
We've got very little time left.
Totality of evidence from...
If we could get one more response from Lionel. I'm sorry, we've got very little time left. Lionel, what you wanted to say, go ahead.
No, when you talk about, I'm just curious, what is a foreign agent? Is a BBC a foreign agent? Was Al Jazeera, CCTV? I mean, what is a foreign agent? What does that even mean? Look, let me just say something here.
The BBC
the next time,
is not.
Sir, that you ever do something like this, please prepare. Please prepare something. Oh, the BBC is not foreign. It's not a foreign agent. No, the BBC, no. The British Broadcasting, no, it's not foreign? So do you have any idea of what you're talking about?
They're not a foreign agent. Obviously, they're foreign.
Were you briefed on what today's
they're not a foreign agent. The way American law, the way American law defines foreign agent, they are not. Lionel, I'm on the American team. And most Americans agree with me, not you. And I would advise the Russian government to think carefully about what I'm saying. It is in their interest to follow the advice that I'm offering here, which is to stop it.
And have embarrassed yourself this entire conversation. This is absolutely unseemly. Okay. You, sir, simply have no idea of what you're talking about. And something tells me that might be why you're here.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
We'll find out, won't we?
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Lionel, media analyst and from the columnist with the political website The Hill, Brent Budowski, thank you very much for being with us today.